Howdy, I am Tom Christensen of Neurochrome. This is an Agilent 6654A power supply. It's an excellent power supply. It provides 500 watts, and they're commonly available on the used market starting at around the $300 to $400 mark. Unfortunately, so I bought this recently, and unfortunately, the encoders for controlling the current and voltage don't work. Specifically, when I turn the encoder in the down direction, it seems to work okay, but when I turn the encoder in the up direction, it behaves really erratically, as you can see here. So let's see if we can fix that. The seller did offer a warranty on this, but I mean, it's wasteful to ship power supplies back and forth, and it's also not cheap. So we agreed that I should attempt to repair this myself. And the way to do that is you get the front panel off, and then you can get at the circuit board that's behind there. And to do that, you need to remove this decorative strip of plastic, I guess it is, and that should expose some screws that hold the front panel. And the strip here is just attached with some self-stick or double stick tape, so it should just come right out. There we go. Ta-da! And I think worst case is that I'll have to replace the double stick tape or just go without. A lot of times when you buy these and they've been repaired, then this strip is missing anyway. So anyway, that exposes a couple of Torx T10s. That's these two here and two on the other side. I'll remove those, and then I should be able to get the front panel off. And we're in. So there is this cable here that's attached with this RJ11, and I'll just pop that out like that. And then all that's left here is the power switch. It should be possible to just swing the circuit board out of the way, or swing the front panel out of the way rather, but rather than fighting with it, I think I'll just disconnect the switch wiring here. That's just some quick connects. So I'll just pull those. They are color coded. So, I mean, if you pay attention to the color coding or the scheme here, it should be possible to put them back on in the correct order. So, ta-da, now the panel is off. And to get the circuit board out, we need to remove the knobs for the encoders. And they don't have a set screw of any or anything. I think they just pull off like that. That was pretty easy. It actually looks a little bit like maybe they were greased or something. But anyway, they came off easily. The circuit board has these notches or slots that hold the circuit board in place. And in addition, the circuit board is held in place with a couple of Torx T10s. So let me remove those. Now what needs to happen is that the circuit board needs to slide this way. And this peg and this piece of circuit board is in the way of that. So I will gently lift this up. And all you then have to do is to slide the circuit board. Oh, it should actually be cool. That's actually all it took. Just that little slide. Then unplug the cable here and should be able to maneuver this out. Ta-da! Cool. Very cool. So now let's have a look at these encoders. The seller did mention that sometimes what happens is that these clamps get loose. And when that happens, the encoder brush inside doesn't make good contact. And in that case, you can just basically clamp down the tabs and maybe secure it with a drop of super glue. But that actually doesn't appear to be the case here. And it also looks from the flux residue here that the encoders might have been swapped at some point. And I mean, that's actually entirely possible. There was a service bulletin at some point that's mentioned in the service manual for this, where these encoders are swapped out. So it looks like, unfortunately, I'll have to replace the two encoders. So fresh from Mouser, 2 encoders, and they set me back an entire $1.50 a piece. So now all I have to do is to desolder the old encoders and pop these ones in. Should be good to go. So not entirely surprising, the solder sucker didn't quite get all the solder, but if you heat up one pin at a time, I suggest starting with the mechanical supports and then just pry a little bit and work your way from side to side. It is actually possible to get these to pop out. Then once you have the support pins loosened or out of the board, then have a look at the other 3 pins here. In my case, they're all stock, but if you work from one side to the other and just pry a little bit every time, they usually pop right out. This one doesn't seem to be terribly cooperative. So what I think I'll try and do instead is to just cut the pins with a pair of pliers, or actually I might be able to metal fatigue them out of there. Oh no, one is loosened already. Okay, so it looks like now it's just the middle pin that I need to pop out. Ta-da! And just repeat for the other one. So like that, make sure that you clear out any remaining solder in the 2 holes for the mechanical support, and then I suggest you add some fresh solder to the 3 holes for the pins. Just add solder, suck it out with the solder sucker, and clean up the board of excess flux and solder, and then you're ready to pop in the new encoders. And I'll just get rid of all this solder shrapnel as well, just so the board doesn't accidentally pick up, a stray piece of solder and short something out. That always makes a mess. So it's nice to have a clean work surface to work onto. So now I'm ready to pop in the new encoders. Like that. Make sure you install the encoders on the correct side of the board. Don't ask me how I know. They go on the same side as the keypad, so the opposite side of the components. But you knew that already, right? So now all I have left to do is a little bit of flux cleanup, and then I'm ready to install the board in the power supply. So let's do that. The circuit board slid right into place. One thing that does make that process easier is if you feed this ribbon cable all the way through the opening in the board, then pop the board in, slide. And one note, the mounting hardware that came with the encoders is not used, so you can recycle that. Then all that's left to do is to put the knobs back on and just align the D shape inside of the knob with the D shape of the shaft, and you're good to go. Then one final thing before I put this front panel back on is that I need to put in the 2 screws that hold the circuit board onto the front panel. Like that. And now what I have to do is to put the panel back on. And on this power supply, the power switch harness is pretty short. The 2 lower connections I can probably reach with my fingers, but for the other connections, a longer pair of needle nose pliers can be handy. And also don't forget to plug in this RJ11 control connector. So let's do that. Ta-da! Now the panel should just in theory slide into place. You might have to wrestle it a little bit, but it doesn't require much force, but just requires that you align it properly. And then the 4 screws on 2 on each side, and then the decorative strips go back on, and they should be good to go. And now for the moment of truth. Well, power supply powers on. That's a good sign. Now let's see if the encoders are working properly. It sure looks like it. Even the acceleration feels right, which means that I have the right number of pulses per revolution chosen for these encoders, so this is cool. And if you like it too, or if you found this video informative or helpful, make sure you click like and subscribe, leave a comment. If you have suggestions for how I can improve on these videos, leave them in the comments as well. It might take me a little bit to respond, but I always read the comments, so thank you very much, and have a good day.